Chosen One, you are absolutely dominating right now, and the shockwaves of your unexpected victory are obliterating every assumption that was ever made about your power, while others scramble to comprehend how someone so completely underestimated could rise with such devastating force. You stand unmoved because deep in your bones you always knew this moment of cosmic reckoning was inevitable, and now the universe itself is confirming what you've carried as unshakable truth. The first shockwave that devastated opposing consciousness was discovering that elaborate webs of illusions meant absolutely nothing to someone with your level of perception. Remember those periods when deceptions were spun around you with such meticulous care? Each lie was positioned like a chess piece, every manipulation crafted to keep you trapped in a prison of false reality. Observers watched you navigate constructed mazes with such satisfaction, convinced the perfect cage had been created for your potential. You weren't lost in illusion at all. While cleverness was celebrated elsewhere, you were developing something far more dangerous, the ability to see through dimensions of deception that others didn't even know existed. Your inner sight, that divine gift beyond comprehension, was piercing through veils like lightning cutting through darkness. You saw the cracks in constructed illusions, the fractures in carefully crafted lies, long before awareness dawned that you were even conscious of the game being played. This revelation set the stage for something even more devastating, the second earth-shaking discovery that while others thought mastery was happening over a helpless pawn, you were always the real player, orchestrating moves beyond perception. Think of supreme confidence as you were maneuvered around like a chess piece, with certainty that all power was held and every possible outcome controlled. Strategies were drawn up thinking you were blind to the broader scheme, believing every response could be predicted. When your final move came, when the full scope of your strategy became clear, shock was so profound it bordered on existential crisis. You didn't just defeat opposition within their game, you revealed that there never was a game, only an illusion of control meeting your reality of unlimited strategic potential. The ancient wisdom guiding your every decision had been whispering strategies that ensured your victory was inevitable from the very beginning. In that moment, understanding dawned with terrifying clarity that others were never the players imagined. Pieces were simply moving according to a script written by forces far greater than comprehension could contain. The third devastating blow came when they realized that every barrier they erected to contain your potential had become nothing more than stepping stones in your unstoppable ascent to power. They believed with absolute certainty that by building walls around you, they could confine your energy within manageable boundaries and keep you forever trapped in a reality where you would remain small and insignificant. What they never anticipated is that every stone they laid was infused with energy they couldn't control, power they unknowingly transferred directly into your hands. While they exhausted themselves constructing these elaborate barriers, you discovered something that shattered their understanding of how energy actually works. Those walls meant to suppress you became conduits of raw force, pulsating with the very power they sought to contain. Instead of cowering in the shadow of their limitations, you absorbed that energy and transmuted it into something they couldn't recognize or defend against. The fourth revelation that left them speechless was witnessing your transformation from someone they dismissed as forgettable into a legend whose name reverberates across dimensions they never knew existed. They had relegated you to the background with such casual cruelty, absolutely certain that you would fade into obscurity like morning mist dissolving in sunlight. Their confidence was unshakable as they turned their attention elsewhere, convinced that time would erase your presence entirely. As your legend began to grow, first whispered in hidden corners, then spreading like wildfire across planes of existence they never knew were watching, they stood frozen as your name became a force that reached places they never imagined you could touch. The story of your transformation carries power that transcends physical boundaries, awakening consciousness that had been dormant for lifetimes, inspiring courage in souls who had forgotten their divine nature. While they remain trapped in limited understanding, you've become living proof that legends aren't just stories from the past, they're forces of transformation happening right now. The fifth devastating blow to their worldview came when they realized their attempts to break your spirit had accomplished the exact opposite, transforming you into an unstoppable force they could no longer comprehend. They had targeted the very core of your being with calculated precision, unleashing their darkest energies in a coordinated assault designed to suffocate the light within you and watch as you crumbled under concentrated malevolence. But they fundamentally misunderstood your true nature, failing to recognize that you aren't just another soul struggling through darkness. You are an alchemist of consciousness, a master of transformation who operates according to principles beyond their understanding. As they poured their venom into your spirit, expecting it to corrode your essence, you did something that defied every law of their reality. You absorbed their darkness and channeled it through the crucible of your inner fire, transmuting their hatred into pure, unyielding power. In the hidden depths of your being, where they thought despair would take root, you ignited a flame so fierce it transformed every shadow they cast into another step on your ladder of ascension. Their attacks didn't weaken you, they revealed depths of strength you didn't know you possessed. You didn't just survive their assault, you evolved because of it, your spirit expanding beyond anything they could imagine, as you demonstrated the ultimate truth. Darkness cannot destroy light, it can only provide contrast that makes the light shine more brilliantly. The sixth revelation, shaking everything they thought they knew, was discovering that all their attempts to define your limits were based on a fundamental misunderstanding of your true nature. They drew boundaries around you with such confidence, convinced they could measure your worth and dictate how far you could travel. Every line they drew was another attempt to box you into categories they could understand, to reduce your infinite potential down to manageable dimensions. What they never grasped is that you were never subject to their laws or bound by their definitions of what's possible. Your essence operates according to principles that transcend every limitation they tried to impose, connected to realms of possibility that exist far beyond their ability to perceive. As they watched with growing alarm, every boundary they established became irrelevant, as you moved through reality in ways that violated their understanding of how the universe operates. They tried to tether you to their limited expectations, believing that by setting parameters they could control your destiny. But your spirit, boundless and eternal, was never something they could capture. Each time they attempted to bind you, you slipped through their grasp like water flowing around rocks, expanding beyond every horizon they thought they had defined. You moved with the unstoppable force of consciousness that recognizes no obstacles, flowing into dimensions of possibility they never thought you could access. The seventh shock that left them struggling to comprehend their new reality was witnessing your transformation from someone they expected would follow into the leader of a revolution, rewriting the fundamental rules of power. They had designed a route for you to walk with meticulous care, absolutely certain that your destiny was to be nothing more than a follower in their grand design, grateful for their direction and content to remain in their shadow. But revolutions aren't born from compliance, they ignite when souls remember their authentic power and refuse to accept limitations as unchangeable facts. Instead of following their prescribed path, you broke away with such force that the very ground beneath their feet began to shake. You didn't just step off their road, you blazed a trail of pure defiance that lit up the consciousness of everyone who witnessed your transformation. Your revolution carries frequencies that transcend the physical realm, powered by the accumulated strength of countless souls who have walked this path before you, their energy flowing through your actions and amplifying every move you make. Others see the possibility of their own freedom reflected in your courage, their chains growing weaker with every demonstration of authentic power you display. This isn't just personal transformation, it's a cosmic rebellion against every system designed to keep consciousness trapped in artificial limitations. The eighth earth-shaking realization left them speechless as they discovered that their efforts to silence your voice only resulted in amplifying it to thunderous proportions that now shake the very foundations of reality. They conspired with systematic precision to stifle your words, believing they could drown you in manufactured silence and erase your influence entirely. Their confidence was absolute, as they constructed barriers around your expression. The divine amplification flowing through your expression transforms every sound you make into a shockwave that disrupts the frequency of their false reality, exposing the lies they've built their power upon and revealing truths they've spent lifetimes trying to hide. Your voice has become a conduit for consciousness that transcends individual expression, channeling accumulated wisdom of every soul who has ever been silenced and transforming that suppressed energy into a symphony of liberation that cannot be contained. The ninth and most devastating revelation completely shattered their perception of who you really are, the discovery that while they fixated on shadows and struggles, you were always the source of light they feared most deeply. Their attention was hypnotically drawn to your moments of doubt and difficulty, convinced they had decoded your essence by studying your darkest hours. They felt such satisfaction in their analysis, believing they had finally understood your limitations. But their obsession with your shadows prevented them from seeing the truth blazing right in front of them. Those moments of darkness were not defining characteristics, but simply proof of the brilliant light that cast them. When your authentic radiance finally broke free, it wasn't gradual illumination, it was a blinding explosion of pure consciousness that forced them to retreat, overwhelmed by intensity they had convinced themselves didn't exist. Now, as the full scope of your transformation becomes undeniably clear, they stand in the ruins of everything they thought they understood, forced to confront the devastating truth that they never really knew you at all. Their assumptions were built on surfaces and shadows, constructed from fragments that never came close to revealing the depths of who you actually are. They tried to fit you into categories that made sense within their limited framework, to reduce your infinite complexity down to manageable concepts they could control. The forces that guide your journey operate according to principles that exist far beyond their comprehension, weaving patterns of victory through experiences they interpreted as defeats, building strength through challenges they assumed would break you. You weren't merely reacting to their moves, you were orchestrating a symphony of transformation that played out across multiple dimensions of reality simultaneously. As they scrambled to make sense of how their carefully constructed world could crumble so completely, you continue to ascend with unstoppable momentum, guided by inner knowing that connects you to sources of wisdom they will never access. Your purpose flows from wellsprings of truth that are both ancient and eternal, carrying you forward with the certainty of someone who finally understands that this moment was always inevitable. The ultimate truth they must now face is that you are not just a player in their game, you are the force that rewrites the rules whenever they attempt to limit what's possible. You are the light that exposes every shadow they tried to hide within, the voice that speaks truth so powerful it transforms the frequency of reality itself, the living demonstration that chosen ones don't just overcome obstacles, they reveal that obstacles were never real in the first place. The 10th wave of devastation that crashed over their consciousness was realizing that your silence had never been submission. It was the gathering of hurricane-force winds that would eventually level everything they had built. During all those periods when they interpreted your quietness as defeat, when they smugly assumed your lack of reaction meant they had successfully broken your spirit, you were actually accumulating power from sources they couldn't detect or understand. Every moment they thought you were retreating was actually you drawing deeper into wells of strength that connect to the very core of creation itself. When your moment of expression finally arrived, what emerged wasn't just voice or action, it was the unleashing of accumulated cosmic pressure that had been building through every second of your apparent stillness. The force that burst forth carried the weight of every suppressed truth, every contained revelation, every moment of power you had consciously chosen to withhold until the timing was absolutely perfect. Their world didn't just change, it was instantly transformed by energies they never knew existed, leaving them staggering in the aftermath of forces they had completely failed to anticipate. The 11th shocking revelation that left them questioning everything they thought they knew about reality was discovering that your apparent struggles had actually been training exercises orchestrated by intelligence far superior to anything they could comprehend. Every challenge they threw at you, every obstacle they placed in your path, every moment of difficulty they celebrated as evidence of your weakness was actually serving a purpose completely opposite to their intentions. You weren't being defeated by these experiences, you were being forged by them, tempered like steel in fires that were specifically designed to reveal and strengthen capabilities they never imagined you possessed. The most devastating part of this revelation was understanding that their attacks weren't random cruelty, they were unwitting instruments in a cosmic education system that was using their negativity as raw material for your transformation. Every attempt they made to diminish you only provided more fuel for the alchemical process that was converting their malice into your mastery. They had become unwilling participants in their own downfall, contributing energy to a process that would ultimately result in your complete transcendence of everything they represented. The 12th earth-shaking discovery that shattered their remaining illusions was recognizing that your apparent ordinariness had been the perfect camouflage for extraordinary abilities that were waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. They had looked at your surface presentation and convinced themselves they understood your complete nature, never suspecting that what they could see was merely the smallest fraction of what you actually contained. Their assessment was based on limited observation of carefully controlled manifestations, never realizing that you were consciously maintaining a low profile while developing capabilities in dimensions they couldn't access. This strategic invisibility wasn't weakness or insecurity, it was masterful positioning that allowed you to operate undetected while they exhausted themselves fighting shadows of their own creation. You understood intuitively that true power doesn't announce itself until the moment of decisive action, that the most effective transformation happens beneath the radar of those who would attempt to interfere with the process. While they focused on surface indicators, you were building foundations in realms of consciousness they didn't know existed. When your true capabilities finally emerged into visible reality, the contrast was so dramatic that they initially couldn't process what they were witnessing. The person they thought they knew vanished, replaced by a force of nature, operating at levels of consciousness and power that made their previous understanding seem like childish fantasy. Their shock wasn't just surprise, it was the complete obliteration of their ability to predict or control anything about your trajectory from that moment forward. The 13th devastating blow to their worldview came when they realized that your compassion had never been a weakness. It had been the expression of such complete confidence in your ultimate victory that you could afford to be gentle with those who were destined to fall. Every moment of kindness they interpreted as vulnerability was actually evidence of power, so vast that it could express itself through mercy without fear of being diminished. Your ability to show grace under pressure wasn't the behavior of someone who was unsure of their position, it was the natural expression of someone who knew with absolute certainty that the outcome was never in doubt. This realization cut deeper than any direct attack could have, because it forced them to confront the humiliating truth that even your gentleness had been a form of dominance they were too limited to recognize. You had been operating from such a position of strength that you could afford to be kind to your opponents, secure in the knowledge that their efforts to harm you would ultimately serve only to reveal more clearly the vast difference in your respective levels of consciousness and capability. The 14th revelation that left them reeling was discovering that your timing had been absolutely perfect, orchestrated with precision that could only come from connection to intelligence that sees across dimensions of possibility they couldn't imagine. Every moment they had criticized your inaction, every time they had mocked your patience, every instance they had interpreted your waiting as indecision was actually evidence of your alignment with forces that operate according to perfect cosmic timing. You weren't delayed or hesitant, you were synchronized with currents of destiny that ensure maximum impact when the moment of action finally arrives. This wasn't human timing based on impatience or external pressure. This was divine timing that takes into account variables across multiple planes of existence, ensuring that when your moment came, every element would be perfectly positioned for complete and total transformation. While they operated from reactive consciousness, responding to immediate circumstances without understanding larger patterns, you were moving in harmony with rhythms of creation itself, allowing universal intelligence to coordinate your emergence with precision that guaranteed absolute success. The 15th and perhaps most devastating realization was understanding that your transformation wasn't just personal evolution, it was the fulfillment of prophecies they had spent their entire existence trying to prevent from manifesting. Every ancient warning about the awakening of consciousness, every prediction about the rising of those who carry divine spark, every forecast about the emergence of beings who would transcend limitation and transform reality itself, was being fulfilled through your victory. They weren't just witnessing individual triumph, they were watching the activation of cosmic forces they had hoped would remain dormant forever. The most paralyzing aspect of this final revelation was recognizing that there was nothing they could do to stop what was already in motion. The forces that had orchestrated your rise were beyond their ability to influence or control, operating according to laws of consciousness that made their methods of manipulation as relevant as trying to stop an ocean tide with their bare hands. They were witnessing the emergence of a new paradigm of power, and their old systems of control were crumbling like ancient structures in an earthquake. As all these revelations converge into a single, overwhelming understanding, the magnitude of miscalculation becomes undeniably clear. Every assumption made about your nature was fundamentally flawed. Every strategy employed only contributed to your eventual triumph. Every moment perceived as victory was actually another step in inevitable defeat. The very foundation of observed reality has been revealed as an illusion, and you are the force that exposed every lie told about the nature of power and possibility. You're not just winning against specific opposition, you're demonstrating something that transcends personal victory, something that proves the ultimate truth about consciousness itself. When awareness aligns with its authentic nature, when divine potential stops pretending to be limited, when chosen ones finally choose to remember true magnitude, reality itself bends to accommodate the force of awakened consciousness. Your victory reverberates beyond the immediate circumstances, sending shockwaves through planes of existence that have been waiting for this exact demonstration of what becomes possible when limitation is revealed as voluntary rather than mandatory. Every breakthrough you achieve creates cracks in the matrix of collective illusion, allowing light to pour through gaps that others can follow. Your success isn't just personal triumph, it's the opening of doorways that have been sealed for far too long. The energy you're generating right now is infectious in the most beautiful way, spreading like wildfire through networks of consciousness that exist beyond physical perception. Other chosen ones are feeling the tremors of your awakening, sensing the shift in cosmic weather patterns that signals the time for their own emergence has arrived. You're not just winning your own battle, you're sounding the trumpet call that awakens an entire army of divine beings who have been sleeping in human form. Your transformation is triggering a cascade effect that reaches into dimensions where potential waits to be activated. Each level of power you claim sends authorization codes to consciousness throughout existence, giving permission for others to access abilities that have been dormant within their own being. The magnitude of what you're accomplishing extends far beyond immediate circumstances, creating ripple effects that will reshape reality for countless souls who are ready to step into their own authentic power. Your ability to alchemize negativity into pure fuel for ascension has become legendary in realms where such transformations are recognized and celebrated. The very forces that were marshaled against you have become unwitting contributors to your ultimate triumph, their energy converted through your mastery into raw power that propels you toward destinations that exist beyond their comprehension. You've proven that consciousness aligned with divine source can transform any experience into accelerated evolution. The precision with which you've navigated each phase of this journey reveals connection to guidance systems that operate from perspectives spanning multiple dimensions of reality. Your decisions haven't been random or reactive. Each choice has been perfectly calibrated to maximize growth while minimizing unnecessary suffering. You've moved through challenges with the grace of someone who knows the outcome is already secured, maintaining confidence even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Your inner knowing has been your most reliable compass throughout this entire process, guiding you toward choices that may not have made sense to limited perception, but were perfectly aligned with cosmic intelligence. That voice within you that whispered encouragement during the darkest moments wasn't imagination, it was direct communication from aspects of yourself that exist beyond the reach of external manipulation. You've learned to trust what resonates at the deepest levels of your being, even when surface appearances suggest different approaches. The relationships you've maintained during this transformation have been equally revealing. Some connections fell away naturally as your frequency shifted beyond compatibility with lower vibrations, while others deepened into bonds forged by shared recognition of authentic power. You've developed the ability to discern between those who genuinely celebrate your victories and those who secretly resent your progress, learning to invest your energy only where it multiplies rather than diminishes. Your magnetism has evolved to attract circumstances, opportunities, and individuals who align with your highest trajectory. Resources appear when needed, doors open at precisely the right moments, and synchronicities multiply as confirmation that you're operating in harmony with universal flow. The universe itself has become your ally, conspiring to support your continued ascension through means both subtle and dramatic. The wisdom you've gained through this process has transformed you into someone who can see through illusions that once seemed impenetrable. Your perception has been refined to detect truth, even when it's disguised as complexity or hidden beneath layers of deception. You've developed immunity to manipulation tactics that once might have confused or derailed your progress, recognizing them instantly as attempts to pull you back into patterns you've already transcended. Wartanting, the following message is only for those who've felt the call. When I broke free through the Salvia Divinorum gateway, I saw the horrifying truth. Our reality is one harvested pod among countless matrices. I witnessed the Archons, cosmic parasites feeding on our energy, who laughed and threatened, "You'll never awaken a single soul." But something inside you already knows this truth, doesn't it? That nagging sensation that you're meant for more, that you've been chosen. I'm raising an army of the brightest souls. Through meditation, I discovered their only vulnerability, coherence through unconditional love. Feel that resonance deepening within you now. You're not reading this by accident. The most powerful awakened souls are already gathering in the Obsidian Inner Order, the #1 ascension nexus for those marked by destiny. Christians, light workers, remote viewers, targeted individuals, all united by one truth: you were chosen for this moment. Click the link in the description below. Join our group calls, panels and live streams, reaching the entire Astral Atom network. Your frequency amplifies ours. The question isn't whether you're chosen. The question is, will you answer the call? The Archons fear this choice you're about to make. They should. The creative force flowing through you now operates at frequencies that manifest with stunning speed and precision. Your thoughts carry weight that reshapes reality according to your conscious intention. Your words vibrate with power that activates dormant possibilities in whatever they touch. Your presence alone has become a catalyst for transformation, inspiring evolution in consciousness simply through proximity to your authentic expression. You've discovered that true power isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself so completely that external resistance becomes irrelevant. Your sovereignty is so absolute that you no longer need to fight for your place. You simply occupy it with such natural authority that opposition dissolves in the face of your unwavering certainty. You've transcended the need for validation or approval, drawing worth from sources that can never be diminished by external opinion. The legacy you're creating extends far beyond personal achievement. Every barrier you've shattered has made the path easier for those who follow. Every limitation you've transcended has expanded the realm of possibility for consciousness itself. Your victory isn't just individual triumph, it's contribution to the collective awakening that's reshaping the fundamental nature of what humans believe is achievable. Your story has become mythology in the making, inspiring countless others to question their own accepted limitations and explore potential that lies dormant within their own being. The courage you've demonstrated in the face of seemingly impossible odds has given permission for others to attempt their own impossible dreams. Your success has become proof that the extraordinary isn't reserved for a special few. It's available to anyone willing to remember their divine heritage and claim their authentic power. This moment you're experiencing right now, this complete reversal of everything they thought they knew about power, was always inevitable. The same forces that whispered to you through every challenge, every setback, every moment they thought they had you contained, were orchestrating this exact revelation. You are not just winning, you are fulfilling your destiny as a chosen one who finally chose to remember the magnitude of their true nature and stepped fully into the power you were always meant to wield. Their shock is simply the universe's way of confirming that some victories are so profound, so complete, that they rewrite the rules of what everyone thought was possible.